Fans believe Demi Lovato is singing about her ex-fiancé Max Ehrich on her new album. Hey guys, welcome back to another Shared News from Home. We have got to talk about Demi's latest music, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I am your host, Max Ehrich, and I'm joined by the wonderful Tyler Joseph Ellis. Tyler, there is a lot to break down in these songs, in these lyrics. Let's just get into it. On Friday, Demi released her 7th studio album, Dancing with the Devil, The Art of Starting Over. It has 19 songs on it, so fans have a lot of music to get through, to consume. We are loving it. The album, sort of dives into her personal struggles with addiction, really talks about that journey, but it also does sort of provides some insight to her love life. Tyler, I listened to all 19 tracks at this point. I have broken down the music video. I mean, what are your thoughts on the album? Are you loving it?
I have only listened to some of it because I've yet to watch the YouTube documentary. And I'm like, as soon as I watch the documentary, I'm going to do a full sit down, all 19, maybe go on a really, really long drive or something and listen to the entire album. But I've picked and choose. I mean, obviously anyone, I am obsessed with that song in the album, of course, because with anyone. But I'm talking Ariana Grande. I'm talking Sam Fisher. The features on this album alone are like really crazy to me. So I just think this is probably going to be one of my 2021 most listened to albums. Just I haven't taken the full dive like you have, but I'm excited to talk about it anyway.
You're going to love it. And I totally am with you. This is like such a moment. This is more than just like an album. There's so much storytelling to be done. So you've got to do it when you're ready, to totally be consumed by it. But let's dive into one song in particular that fans are already like investigating, pointing out some potential meanings of the lyrics, because it seems to sort of paint a picture of that breakup with her ex-fiance, Max Ehrich. The song is 15 minutes, and the lyrics that are standing out to people are,
praying in Malibu, how could you, praying in Malibu, I hope it saved you.
Basically, fans are speculating that that line is a direct reference to when Max was sitting on the beach in Malibu, hands held together, seemingly praying. TMZ happened to be there to capture the moment. It didn't sit well with a lot of fans. It felt like a lot. Do you remember that moment, Tyler? And what do you think of this lyric?
I love it. I think, hey, if something happens to you, I mean, I think even did you and I, Fiona, a story on Max Ehrich and Demi Lovato and their breaking of their engagement months back. I think with anything that's difficult and perhaps traumatic, I mean, any heartbreak, I mean, what do you make out of it? You make art. And with a lot of musicians, you make an album or you make a song. I mean, look at Adele, like, come on, or Taylor Swift or anyone, or Demi Lovato. So I just think I am all for it. And I mean, I was all for the Olivia Rodrigo drama between the three. I'm like, anytime that fans can piece lyrics together and be like, ooh, that's definitely referring to that. I'm so in, because ultimately we were all watching this relationship and understanding what was happening was very public. So I'm for it. I'm praying in Malibu, baby. I'm for it.
I love it. What's interesting is, the lyrics themselves feel fairly pointed, fairly direct, but if you check out the iTunes editor's notes from the album, which basically are like little blurbs from Demi about the meaning behind the songs, sort of her thought process, her thoughts. This one features a very short and simple explanation. It literally just says crickets. Is that an answer? So basically she was asked her thoughts and all she wanted to say was crickets. So honestly, I just feel like, wow, like that is, I don't know if shade is the right word, but it's something.
It's shade 2.0. Shade 2.0. I love that. Crickets. Oh, I love that.
It certainly feels like, there's something to be said there. She's saying something without saying anything at all. Who knows exactly what she means, but it definitely feels like fans are onto something with 15 minutes. Since the song came out, we've seen a lot of tweets about it. One fan tweeted, Demi really didn't hold back on 15 minutes, calling out that Max fella. Another fan tweeted, Demi telling Max he has 15 minutes to pack it up because all he wanted was 15 minutes of fame. And one more, another fan tweeted, Demi really ate up Max in 15 minutes. You can literally hear how angry she is. So, I mean, Tyler, you and I have talked about this before. Fans weren't totally sold. They weren't totally on board with Max, especially by the end of things. This narrative that he, was looking for fame, was looking for, attention, etc., definitely sort of pulled a lot of weight. It was something that was very prevalent at the time of their split. So it's interesting now, like in hindsight, to see those fans who really weren't a fan of him to begin with now reacting to the song, these lyrics. I mean, what do you make of this?
I think Demi is one of those people, and we sort of forget this, like a Miley Cyrus, like a Selena Gomez, like an Ariana Grande. We grew up with them. And I think there is a lot of ownership over artists like this that went through sort of the Nickelodeon or the Disney Channel sort of way to reach fame, and how they've evolved and how those childhood sort of experiences have shaped them and perhaps damaged them. And I think with all of those artists, with all the names I just mentioned, and Demi, of course, being no exception, anytime we've been fans of her since Sunny with a Chance and Camp Rock, and we've seen her then go through her recording artist career and how she's just kind of developed into one of the best voices of our time. And people are protective. And when we were seeing this relationship unfold, I think a lot of people were very vocal about how they didn't like this guy and didn't like the way that the relationship was panning out. Of course, it ended, and a lot of people sided with Demi, like what we were talking about months ago. And I think, anytime people can let out their anger, because ultimately people are very protective over these artists, and it's going to happen. And I think we totally could have seen this coming with an album like this. I mean, I was ready for the Max track. I was like, when is she going to address this relationship? So I don't want anyone to come for anyone too hard on social media, because I know how awful that can be. I think everyone's entitled to their own opinion and their own feelings, and ultimately, with Demi, we love Demi. We don't want her hurt. But what about you, Fiona? What do you kind of make of it all?
I'm with you. I totally thought we were going to get some references to Max on this album, so I'm not surprised by this by any means. I think the thing that took me the most aback was that crickets comment. That was like something that was a curveball. But the lyrics themselves, I was totally like, there were going to be some hidden clues about Max scattered throughout this album. And to that point, 15 Minutes is actually not the only song where she sings about, love, romance. There are a few others. In The Art of Starting Over, she sings, he was the cure. I was ready to be sure. So I let him deeper under the surface. And then she continues saying, but it didn't take long to realize that the woman in me does not cry for a man who is a boy, and he does not deserve this. So perhaps if you do a little unpacking there, we're talking immaturity in the relationship, perhaps. And then on Lonely People, she sings, crying doesn't make you charming. Only thing, I'm not sorry. So that line in particular, fans think she's referring to some of his social media posts that were out at the time of the breakup. He posted in tears a few times, and fans think that that's sort of a pointed reference there. So again, I mean, we are on the internet interpreting these lyrics, putting together clues. But it really feels like, at the very least, even if we're not spot on with some of these inferences, it's so clear she's holding nothing back on this album. She's putting it all out there, and she's really sharing her truth, her side of the story.
I completely agree. And it's so wild how much I remember. I mean, because ultimately, I guess it wasn't that long ago, but you mentioned the tears comment, and I remember those social media posts and how people were like, I don't believe this guy, and how and just the sort of the pity me sort of mentality that Max took. I mean, I have no idea what it's like to be in a super public relationship and what it would be like to end a relationship. So no judgment. It's just more like, I do remember these events happening, and it's just then now we're seeing sort of the fruits of all of that in this album. It is so just I love this because you see this growth and like this catharsis that is like dropping an album about these events that we all saw. I just love it, and it just makes me a bigger fan, honestly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. I'm so with you. I think this album is like, there's so much storytelling involved that for fans, there's just
Yes.
so much to unpack and eat up. It just makes it like a really amazing experience for Demi, to
Yeah.
get it all out, for fans to get to consume it. It's one of those albums that feels really special. But aside from the music, in an interview with Glamour, she recently opened up about romance, her journey to find her sexuality. And she talked about Max in this article. She said that the relationship was extremely eye-opening for her, which is interesting. She did say, quote, "This past year, I was engaged to a man, and when it didn't work, I was like, this is a huge sign." She continued explaining, "I thought I was going to spend my life with someone. Now that I wasn't going to, I felt this sense of relief that I could live my truth." So interesting, to just think about like the prospect of marrying someone ending and the feeling you feel is relief. Like that is totally very telling. I understand why that would be incredibly eye-opening. She also revealed in that interview she at this point knows how she identifies herself, but she is choosing to wait until a specific timeline to share that identity with the world.
Yeah.
She explained saying, "I know who I am and what I am, but I'm just waiting until a specific timeline to come out to the world as what I am. I'm following my healer's timeline, and I'm using this time to really study and educate myself on my journey and what I'm preparing to do." So honestly, I mean, really, what I take away from all of that is I'm just so happy for her, right? It seems like she's in such a great place. She's totally in control. She feels confident. I mean, these are all things that I think fans always wish for someone you support, you care about. But Demi in particular, after such a roller coaster ride, it just makes me feel good. It just makes me feel happy. Like, I just want to be like, yes, good for you, girl.
Yes. I mean, she ultimately is still so young. I just think she's been in our lives for so long, but she's still really young. She has a huge career ahead of her. So I think it's just one of these milestones. And the fact that she's figuring herself out and that the quote that I'm on my own healer's timeline, I think that is so, we could all take a chapter from that book. I love that. She, of course, is an international sensation. People love her. And she may feel a responsibility to her fans to be open and whatever. But I love that she's like, this is my life. I'm a person. And if I have to come out in this society, because we all love when artists do that, then it's like, I'm going to do that on my own time. So every day, as every day passes, I love Demi Moore is an actor. I love Demi Lovato more because I don't know, just the authenticity in her sort of journey to become her true self. I think it can be really hard growing up in the limelight because you sort of lose track of who you are as a person because you're playing characters and you have to like retain a certain persona and stuff. So you see a lot of look at, again, to bring up Miley again, like Miley is now like a rock star. And it's like, maybe that was always what you were meant to be, but you just like couldn't figure that out until now and that kind of thing. I just think I'm all for it. And I'm here for any phase of Demi. I really am. Any phase of Demi, sign me up.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so with you. You put it back, like the authenticity, right? I mean, that is truly what we all admire so much. You guys, this is such an exciting chapter for Demi, such an exciting chapter for fans. We, of course, want to know your thoughts. First of all, are you loving the album? And second of all, have you been keeping an eye out for these Max lyrics? Let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zering. I was joined by the wonderful Tyler Joseph Ellis. If you want to come say hi, our social handles are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.